All right, so the leaves are changing and dropping. It's feeling more like fall. Doesn't mean, though, apparently, that it's time to ditch the yard work, because landscaping isn't just for spring and summer, and there's a lot we should be doing, I guess, Melissa.
Yes, and we're going to get notes from a professional. Professional landscaper Jeff Cartwright is sharing 5 tips to keep our yards and plants healthy. Hello, Jeff. Thanks so much for joining us.
Hey, thank you very much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Well, we want to start out by saying up here
talked about 5.
I was just going to say, up here in the Northeast, we are in such a major drought, and everybody's grass and lawns are just looking like hay. So do you have any advice for us on what we can do now to have things look a little bit better next spring?
Yes, so the best thing that you can do right now is to start, get a really good watering in. Water the heck out of the yard. You want to get probably about 2.5 inches of water down per week. Maybe a little bit more if you're in a drought season right now. So get that taken care of, and then the only thing you can really do to get that grass to come back is to go ahead and aerate, overseed, and fertilize. By getting good water into the ground, you're going to enable a good water supply in the ground, but you're also going to loosen up the ground. It's going to be moist, so you can really perforate the ground with the aerator, make multiple passes, and then heavily seed and fertilize, then heavily water that grass 2 times a day. Keep it moist, keep it going. Do that throughout the fall. As you get a few weeks past aerating, cut back a little bit, but that'll get your grass primed for great growing, and then it'll go into dormancy this winter, and then come next spring, it'll flush out and it will look amazing. So in response to your question, that's what I'd tell you with that. Right. We've got some really great tips for you too. In addition, one of the first things that we do and want to talk to you about today is clean and clear. So I use steel blowers, and I blow out the grass, and I'd recommend blowing out the beds. Get all the debris out of your yard. It's important for that grass to grow, piggybacking on what we just talked about, to keep leaves and debris off the grass. So get the leaf and debris, get it out of there. That's the first thing. Next thing is to get the gutters clear. Get all the gutters clear of leaves so that the water runs down the gutters, down the downspouts, and away from the house. You want water away from the foundation of your house to avoid any kind of drainage issues, okay? Drainage issues can be expensive and they can be costly. The next thing you want to do is power wash. So power wash your decks, power wash patios, your house. Remove that grime and filth. Get it out of there, get everything great. That way your surfaces look great come spring. All right, so the next thing is water, prune, and protect. We already talked about watering, so we're going to skip over that. But the next thing you want to do is you want to prune your landscape. It's a great time right now. Everything is going into dormancy, all the plantings, all the trees. So if you prune them and get them looking nice, they're not going to grow until March or April. So everything will look nice and manicured. So go ahead and do that. The next thing you want to do is get those beds defined. Get the planting beds defined using a bed edger or a hard edge. Get the beds defined and put mulch down. Mulch, aesthetically, it makes things look great. It's icing on the cake, but it also insulates the roots of the plants. So you want to get that insulation down to protect the plants. You also want to make sure you don't put a lot of mulch around the trunks of the plants. That's because mulch holds moisture and can cause root rot. The mulch will transfer moisture from the mulch over to the plants.
All right, so it's also a good time. I know we just did a story about just even planting a lot of fall perennials, or maybe if you've always dreamed of those tulips that everyone looks beautiful in New England and then we don't have them. What can we do to give us like a bang for our buck?
Best bang for your buck right now is to get bulbs in the ground. Go ahead and do that. Plant them in an elevated, dry area. Bulbs don't like moisture. And then right now, fall, even where you're located, it's a great time to plant. Nursery inventory is super huge, tons of stuff. Get your landscaping plans, get your landscaping done, transplant plants, do whatever you need to do. So get that done. Okay, we call that the fall sowing for the spring growing. The next thing you want to do is you want to take into account your equipment. You know, get your equipment, get it all maintained, get blades sharpened, get the engines and your equipments going, and then empty the fuel out when you're done at the end of the season. Get the fuel out of the tools and store the tools in a nice, clean, secure, dry area. Also, hire an irrigation company. If you have irrigation, blow out your irrigation, especially where you're located. Get on that about right now, because if you get into freezing temperatures, pipes can freeze. Pipes are made of PVC, can cause some significant damage. Also shut the main water line off to your house and put spigot covers on your respective spigots going out to your yard. So important there as well.
I never knew I needed a spigot cover.
Yep, you can find those at your local hardware stores. They can help you out there and getting some of those.
And I'd like to go back to the pruning for a minute because I always get confused on this. Now, up here in the New England area, we've already had a couple frosts, so our growing season is really coming to an end. So is now the time for us, like if we have hydrangeas or beautiful, you know, plants, like how far do we cut them down?
So don't cut hydrangeas back. It's very important. That's a mistake a lot of people make. If you cut hydrangeas, you're going to lose the blooms for next year. All you want to do is deadhead those hydrangeas. So the blooms that are dried up, go right below the bloom and cut those. Insofar as any other pruning, at this point in the year, I would consult with your local nursery, ask them about your respective plantings and what should be done. You don't want to open plants up and cut them back if it's a little bit too late in the season. So talk to your local people. It's all really location based as to when you prune stuff.
Okay. Well, we want to thank you for giving us some good tips, and it looks nice and sunny down there in Virginia.
No, it is sunny. It's great. Just to recap what we talked about, falllawntips.com. If you go there, it summarizes everything we talked about today. I greatly appreciate your time and for having me on this morning.
Absolutely.
All right, yeah, thank you so much. Great tips. I got to get to work at my garden.
Well, and you can go back on our website. You did that great story on fall perennials, and I now have a bunch of asters.
So did you get some?
Yes.
I can't remember the one I got. It's like the dusty rose top.
Echinacea?
No.
Oh, the sebum.
Yes.
Yes, I want sebum too.
They're beautiful.
Yeah, they're really nice.
Yeah.
I have to put them in the ground. They're not in the ground.
You got to do it. You got to do it.
I'm going to do it.
It's getting frosty around here.